I used to think the loudest man in the room was the most powerful. Then I watched footage of Putin sitting across from world leaders and saying almost nothing, and every single one of them leaned in. I had spent 20 years trying to be heard. He spent 20 years making people afraid to look away. That difference changed how I understood everything about presence. This is not about politics. This is about 5 things I learned and how they changed me at 63. You do not have to respect him as a leader. I am not asking you to. But if you study him purely as a case study in psychological presence, there is no one alive more instructive. Last month I covered Trump, loud, unpredictable, dominance through words. Putin is the exact opposite, dominance through silence, and I needed both lessons. For most of my 60s, I reacted. Someone said something cutting at dinner. I responded immediately. Every time, I thought I was being honest. I was actually being weak. Watch Putin when a journalist asks him something designed to humiliate. He does not flinch. He does not hurry. There is a pause, sometimes 3, for seconds. Then he answers as if the question was perfectly reasonable. Psychologists call it emotional regulation, the ability to feel the emotion fully and choose not to display it. It signals to everyone watching that you are in control of yourself. I tried this at a dinner with someone who made dismissive comments about my age. Old me would have pushed back. Instead, I paused, looked at her, said nothing for 3 seconds, then changed the subject completely. She apologized, unprompted. I had not said a word in my defense. The silence had done it for me. Next time someone says something that stings, do not answer for 3 seconds. Breathe once, look at them steadily, then decide if a response is even worth giving. Emotion shown is power lost. Putin is in his 70s. He still trains judo. Not for health, he has doctors for that. He trains because a disciplined body sends a signal that no words can fake. Watch how Putin walks into a room. Not fast, not slow, a measured pace. Every step deliberate, no wasted movement. I had let my body become a habit. Sloughing in chairs, moving quickly out of anxiety, not purpose. I realized I was physically apologizing for being in rooms, and I had been doing it for years, without noticing. For 30 days, I made one rule: no unnecessary movement, no fidgeting, no checking my phone when conversation paused, no adjusting my clothes out of nervousness, just stillness when stillness was appropriate. By day 10, my daughter said something I had not heard in years. She said, "Dad, you seem different, calmer." I had not said a single new thing. I had simply moved differently. Try this for 1 week. When you sit down, sit back fully. When you walk, slow down by 20%. When someone talks, put your phone face down and do not touch it. That is it, nothing else. Your body speaks before you do. Make sure it says the right thing. The most powerful thing I ever watched Putin do was nothing. A journalist asked him a loaded question in a press conference. He looked at her. For full seconds he said nothing. The room held its breath. Then he answered into sentences. When you speak immediately, you signal that the silence was uncomfortable for you. When you pause, you signal that the silence does not bother you at all. That difference in comfort is read as power. I used to fill every silence on a date. If she paused, I jumped in with a story, a joke, another question. I thought I was keeping things interesting. I was signaling that her silence made me nervous. For 1 month, every time a conversation paused, I waited 3 full seconds before speaking. People started sharing more. And paradoxically, they found me more interesting because I was saying less. When someone says something you disagree with, instead of immediately correcting them, try silence. Let them hear what they just said. Often they will walk it back themselves. I used this at a family dinner when my brother-in-law made a comment I found unfair. I just looked at him, 5 seconds. He actually apologized mid-sentence. I had not opened my mouth. Silence is not emptiness. It is pressure. Putin has been studied by every intelligence agency on Earth. Hundreds of analysts, billions in resources. And after 20+ years, nobody is entirely sure what he will do next. That is not accident. That is architecture. When someone is completely predictable, you stop thinking about them. When someone is partially unknown, you cannot stop. Mystery is not about withholding. It is about stopping the habit of over-explaining yourself. I used to justify every decision I made. Why I chose a restaurant, why I was late, why I had not called. I thought transparency built trust. What it actually built was the impression that I needed to justify myself. I decided was a complete sentence. I changed restaurants because I felt like it. I am here now. Not rudeness, just the quiet confidence of a man who does not need to present his reasoning to a jury. Most men over 60 have simplified themselves to make others comfortable. They have flattened their opinions, dropped their interests. The most magnetic people are genuinely complex and unafraid to be. Mystery is not dishonesty. It is discipline. Putin never asks if his decisions are acceptable. He never pulls the room. He presents, and he waits to see who adjusts. I had a habit I did not even know I had. Every time I made a plan, unless you prefer something else. Every time I expressed an opinion, but that is just me. I was preemptively shrinking before anyone had even pushed back. Decades of trying to keep the peace, of not wanting to cause trouble. All of it had trained me to pre-apologize for my own existence. And no woman finds that attractive. No one does. I made one change. I stopped adding qualifiers. I stopped ending opinions with question marks. When I wanted to go somewhere, I said where. When I had a view, I stated it, fully, and waited. Within 2 weeks, a woman I had been seeing said something I will not forget. She said, "You have gotten more interesting." I had not done anything new. I had simply stopped performing insecurity. After 60, you have enough evidence about who you are. You do not need the jury to vote anymore. The man who needs no approval owns every room he enters. Last month, Trump, dominance through words, unpredictability. This month, Putin, dominance through silence, discipline, and never needing anyone to tell him he is enough. What I actually learned from studying both of them is this. The most attractive quality in a man over 60 is not confidence in the performance sense. It is comfort. Comfort in silence. Comfort in why. I am not the same man I was 3 years ago. I speak less. I move more deliberately. I justify nothing. And the strange thing is, the less I have tried to impress people, the more they seem to want to be around me. Putin did not teach me polity. I used to think the loudest man in the room was the most powerful. I was wrong about almost everything. Your 60s are not the time to get louder. They are the time to get stiller. The man who has learned to sit with himself, completely, comfortably, without needing anyone to fill the silence, that is the most magnetic man in any room he walks. Here is my question. Do you think stillness like Putin's is something a man is born with, or is it something anyone can actually learn? Because I believe it is learnable. But I want to hear what you think. Drop it below.